Jones of Infowars.com. And here's our Russell Brand interview live in Austin, Texas. What is the essence of your development, or when we talked a few weeks ago, your awakening? Is it accelerating? Because I see an awakening across the board of humanity, period.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting time. I think that people are interested once more in formulating a different society. I think people are kind of bored of being exploited. They're bored with a cultural narrative that supports elitism and exploits the people.
What do you think of the whole Obama phenomenon? Because a lot of people thought he would actually change things, but instead it seems like he's accelerated all the very same stuff. Whereas, not that George Bush was a good guy, it's just that Obama has been more effective at actually getting the establishment agenda through.
I suppose where our beliefs intersect, Alex, is that I think of contemporary bipartisan politics as a meaningless spectacle designed to distract you from where power truthfully dwells. So for me, I don't have a view on Democrats, Republicans. I just sort of think of it as an interchangeable spectacle drawn across the reality. So for me, I'm not surprised or disillusioned or disappointed. For me, I think it's good that there was like a black president. I think that's like a cool thing, but I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't more distribution or redistribution of resources. There wasn't more representation of people that need to be represented.
Where does the power really lie?
I suppose the power really lies with money in a capitalist society. So wherever there is money and resources, I think that these are the people that are making decisions. This would be my assumption, and I think that politicians, broadly speaking, are the administrators of the agenda and incentives of corporate entities and global entities that are perhaps not accessible or discernible on a sort of a public level.
Do you think, in your gut, do you think human civilization will survive? Will we make it off-world, or will humanity destroy ourselves? What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, I do. I believe profoundly in the power of humanity. I believe that we're connected. I think there's an inevitability to us to a successful revolution. I think this is a change in consciousness that we're experiencing. I feel that we will survive. I think there's going to be radical changes. I think that we need to be looking at the world as, well, we're pretty worried for your New World Order thing, but I think we need to look at the world as one inclusive entity. We need to look at how many people there are on the planet. We need to look at the resources that are available and what's the most sensible thing to do with that. And I think that's going to be a massive change for the power structures as they currently exist.
That's when I feel in my gut is humanity will survive and succeed and go to the next level. I agree with you. And the elite are lying to themselves not to think they're connected to everybody else. Whatever they do to other people comes back on them. That's karma.
Yes, I agree with this principle of karma. For me, what's very important is to align people that are currently disparate and oppositional. I think any working people or any people that are economically disadvantaged need to look at forming alliances with one another against people that have economic resources. I'm not talking about the middle classes, I'm talking about super rich elites.
Well, my issue is most of the super rich elites got their money through corrupt operations. I mean, I've studied it. They get it through monopolies and through deals. My problem is they usually use government to set up the monopoly.
Yes.
I understand that government could be a tool for good in the final equation. It's all a balance, but how do you get around the monopoly capitalists using government to shut down their competition?
I think like with regulation and with representing the power of people. And I think until people en masse make it clear that they're no longer prepared to tolerate this kind of system, then it will continue. You see that whenever like statements are made about sort of transitioning power, it makes people very, very nervous when people talk about no longer paying the kind of fuel prices that we're used to paying, no longer having to pay for health insurance in the way that we're used to. It makes people kind of nervous. I think that we need to break down the corporations that are controlling this planet. I think there needs to be dramatic, radical economic reform.
I agree. So end the monopolies.
Yeah, destroy them motherfuckers. Except for the little top hat. He was always my favorite. The little dog, he's a bastard.
Well, listen, I mean, it's easy for me to be on camera with you, but I really wanted to get the essence of where you think things are going. I think we've gotten that. Just a few other questions, Russell.
You're a spiritual man, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, this is what defines it for me. Politics just needs to be the administration of certain spiritual principles. Now, for me, the spiritual principles that are important is that we are all one, we're all together, and every individual's rights need to be respected. And politics needs to be the administration and distribution distribution of those ideas. Like, you know, I think that there was a problem with the separation of church and state. I think that we need to see politics as the implementation of spiritual principles of oneness, togetherness, tolerance of one another, and making sure that people are taken care of. This is what I think. I think we need a spiritual revolution more than a political and social revolution.
What is veritas, then? What is ultimate truth?
I suppose the ultimate truth is oneness, that this is a temporary illusion, that we temporarily occupy these flesh puppets. We believe so much in our identities, we believe in our individualism, and I talk as a very sort of egotistical man. Look at my hair, look at these bracelets, look at these ridiculous boots. I'm a person who believes in the nature of my own individualism and my own identity. But on a deeper level, I recognise that all these things are transient, and what's important and what's defining are the things that we all share: love, unity, togetherness. As long as we have cultural narratives that eschew these ideas, that suppress these ideas in favour of negative human traits, greed, selfishness, lust, as long as these ideas are promoted, we will exist in opposition to one another and will be exploitable by corporations that prey upon these negative facets of humanity.
Sure, well, it's double-faceted. It's kind of a paradox. The establishment is afraid of the power of the individual, but really they're afraid of an individual that isn't basically part of their whole corporate board. So at the same time, saying we're all one is what they want to push, but it's their false oneness. There's the oneness of being an individual, being empowered, but sharing that idea with others.
They have
so it's a paradox.
I think they have great principles among one another. When the stock market crashes, they all bail each other out. They take care of each other. They give each other great bonuses. They look after one another at that level. It's just when it comes to everybody else that that we get over.
When do you think humanity will get to a point where we're not having all these big wars and all this corruption, or will it just be a process and never really become like a singularity?
I think it's happening now, isn't it? I mean, like, it's a long while since Muhammad Ali said, "I ain't got no beef with the Viet Cong." But I think people are increasingly realising why we're going to war with these people. We don't know who the they are, we don't know who they believe in. What are we doing at war with these people? The problem is around the corner. The problem is in our streets, is on our TVs.
Last question. A while back, you were on MSNBC, and it went viral all over the world. Hundreds of millions watched it, where you simply laughed at the people all in a narcissistic power trip sitting around that stage and said you guys are basically a joke, and it shook them up.
I'm coming in tomorrow with a big necklace, and I'm opening...
Look beyond the superficial. That's the problem with current affairs. You forget about what's important. You allow the agenda to be decided by superficial information. What am I saying? What am I talking about? Don't think about what I'm wearing. These things are redundant.
I'm distracted.
Superficial.
When do you think the old dinosaur media will finally figure out it's dead? Because I've already figured that out. Their audiences are tiny, but they still have these big stages, huge sponsorship. They don't even get that a kid in New York or England or China or Mexico has a bigger audience on YouTube than they do on CNN or MSNBC. What is going to happen when the establishment finally figures out, because the final domino to fall is their whole delusion that they're actually in charge. I agree with you. They're not in charge anymore, but still they think they are. Still we, on average, think they are. What happens when that final domino falls?
Well, I think that they'll continually look to occupy new paradigms. I imagine that they're even now investing heavily in new media and in ways of controlling the internet. We're seeing this with what went on with PRISM. They're advanced. These people aren't in power by mistake. They know what they're doing. But as long as if people are empowered with information, if people are unified, if people have like a common understanding, are prepared to look at what we share, what unifies us instead of what separates us, then the people are invincible. This is the irrefutable truth of the elitist pyramid structures, is when the people are awake, it is impossible to maintain. This is why we need a police force, no disrespect officer, and a domestic army to control populations, because when the people decide this is over now, then it is over now, and we're close to this realization.
So the people do have the power, and the power structure realizes that, but as long as we're aware of the manipulation, it's game over.
Yeah, it's happening now. It's inevitable. We don't have to do anything. We're merely projections of a, like it says in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. Like, you know, there are subtler dimensions, subtler frequencies of which we are the realization. If we become in tune with a different narrative, a different story, if we live as God would have us live, then the world will change automatically. It will just happen automatically. Someone said, I think it might be Prabhupada, that a cave can have been in darkness for 10,000 years, but as soon as the light is put on, as soon as a match is struck, the light is there. So the light is coming.
And humanity's coming out of the cave.
We're coming out of the cave. It's over. We're coming out of the caves now. We're going to be on the plains. It's going to be a crazy time. We're going to be rocking in furs. We're going to be kissing each other. It's going to be libertarianism. That's what you're into. Libertarian revolution. As long as it's absolutely egalitarian, Alex. follow me on Twitter if you want to, at Rusty Rockets, but basically carry on doing what you're doing, being happy in your hearts.
All right, folks, that is most of the interview. There's some more that we're going to be airing on the nightly news tomorrow and on the radio tomorrow during the weekday show. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com. Follow us at Real Alex Jones. And a pretty powerful radio show today, talking about the authoritarians and the government telling priests and preachers they can't minister to people in the military during the crisis. I mean, this is tyranny. This is not liberalism. This is oppression masquerading as egalitarianism, the opposite of what we should stand for. All right, folks, Alex Jones signing off. Have a great Sunday night. Are we choosing our own destiny, or has it been pre-selected for us?
As we've moved through history, every great leader has had to understand the potential of information.
Billions of dollars have been spent, privately and publicly, looking at how to tap into your psyche.
From compulsory state education to the Hollywood media brainwashing machine, we are kept in perpetual bondage to the ideas that shape our actions.
When somebody obscures that feedback loop between you observing and testing it out and verifying it, they can take total control of your awareness.
All of this is happening so fast, you need to be ahead of the game.
How to engineer the opinion of the American people so that they would not only endorse but demand a war.
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit.
State of Mind, because there's a war on for your mind. Get your copy of State of Mind, the movie, at Infowars.com. And remember, every order at InfoWarsStore.com receives a free Citizen Rulebook.